current lead at Breitbart.com. Get it while it's hot. 6 weeks later, Cuomo finally orders a deep cleaning of New York City subway trains. This has been an obsession of mine, the New York City subways. As more and more of the country, it becomes crystal clear there is no reason, it's ridiculous, it's absurd for the country to be as closed as it is. I'm not saying that the country, certain areas, certain hot spots, shouldn't be very careful, and people with comorbidities and people who are elderly shouldn't be self-quarantining. But the fact that the entire country is shut down when it's clearly obvious that most of the coronavirus pandemic is affecting various regions much, much, much more than others, yet the New York public transit system, basically business as usual. You can go on the subway. You're supposed to wear a mask, I guess, but you can go on. These subways were already filthy cesspools of disease before the global pandemic, and yet they're operational. But I'm not supposed to go to the park with my 1.5-year-old and push him on a rubber swing in the wide open. I'm not supposed to go on a beach. How many times have we seen these stories of police on horseback harassing old people for sitting on a beach because you can only walk on the beach, you can't sit on the beach, and people scolding surfers? This is an amazing thing that's happening. We're not supposed to open beaches, yet the New York City subway, in the heart of the pandemic, the city that allegedly, according to the Johns Hopkins data, is the hub now, not even Wuhan, China, the hub of the coronavirus pandemic. The subways are open. It's unbelievable. And they haven't been cleaned for 6 weeks. And Cuomo is being vaunted like he's some sort of a hero. And de Blasio is out there taking a walk, and he's harassing Jews who are at a funeral for a rabbi. That's what the priorities are in New York right now while the subways are open. Finally, they get cleaned after 6 weeks. Hannah Blau writes at Breitbart. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo this week ordered the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, the MTA, to develop a comprehensive cleaning plan. They don't even have the plan yet. This is unbelievable. It's 6 weeks of pandemic at a minimum since the lockdown. And they haven't cleaned the subways? This is an outrage. People could have died from this. Maybe they are. So it includes nightly cleanings. Terrific. The order comes a month after the Chinese coronavirus began wreaking havoc on the city. Quote, an essential worker who shows up and gets on a train should know that the train was disinfected the night before, close quote. Why now? Governor Cuomo said that. Why now? Why today? Why not 6 weeks ago? Will there be any accountability for this? For the city and state asleep at the switch completely? He says, quote, it's realistic. It's an essential. How realistic is it? What's the alternative? Cuomo said of the state funding the sanitization effort. Cuomo's orders comes as New York's homeless flock to the subway stations with pictures showing homeless people sleeping on empty trains. Images that caught the attention of the governor. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine the images of homeless people sitting on the subway. Someone showed me a photo of a homeless person on the subway with his pants around his ankles and his bare behind and genitals, to be frank, on the seats. This is happening currently. This is not pre-pandemic. This is mid-pandemic. And de Blasio's out there harassing people at a funeral for a rabbi. This is why the lockdowns have lost credibility with the American public. Because there's not common sense that's being used. No one's out there saying that people who are not vulnerable and don't have comorbidities can return to work with some natural protocols being followed of social distancing and hand washing and encouraging responsible behavior. But we can't have a lot of people with their pants down on the subway. No one's talking this way. We are talking about getting scolded for being on the beach, being harassed, having fines, all of this happening to people who are healthy and not vulnerable. And in the meantime, you've got a population of people who potentially do have these comorbidities on the subway, living there, basically, and it's not getting cleaned. This is the lack of common sense that our elected leaders have at this moment. And this is why the public is getting restless. This is why you're going to see some levels of civil unrest, why certain cities and sheriff's office are not going to go with draconian shutdown orders. And there is a clear pattern that the Democrats are politicizing this far more than the Republicans are. I'm not saying there aren't some exceptions, but I'm saying overall, when you look at Maine, for example, there's almost no cases. I think 1,000 since the virus began and 50 deaths. Still shut down for an extended period of time. Why is that the case? And this is happening throughout so much of the country. Governor Northam in Virginia even admitting that they're basically on track to complete phase one, even though Virginia's lockdown orders are extended far into the future. This is a big moment right here with this Subways. This can provide clarity for the American public that they are being lied to by the authorities. The fact of the Subways, and this is allowed at this moment, and yet no parks and no beaches while businesses are shut down. It's absurd.